Well, hello everybody, and welcome to yet another brand new sparkling live edition of what we call the Metaverse Week in Review, or rather the Inworld Review. We're part of the Metaverse Week in Review, so to speak. And it is the 6th of April. Yes, we're in the 4th month of the year 2014 already. And a fine start it was too, as to be expected. News was chaos this week. Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday, for that matter, were subject to some degree of April tomfoolery. Now, here in the UK, it is traditional that you get all the April Fool's jokes out of the way by midday. And even though I made allowances for American West Coast time being 8 hours behind, it seems that America doesn't stop at midday. They continue April Fooling for as long as they want. And then various people on the web, of course, are busy reposting blogs that are April Fool's jokes and are still pouring in 2 days later. So you can imagine, for somebody like me who likes to shift through the news and aggregate it all, Tuesday and Wednesday were what you might call a virtual write-off. And it was fun to go to find out what the news was. For example, there was a new Firestorm release, or rather it's a beta release. And they published it like a normal April Fool's joke, but the real joke was on you because it wasn't an April Fool's joke. Clever stuff on the part of the Firestorm people there. Also, there was a special edition of the Second Life viewer, which allows you to lose Second Life with those old-fashioned sort of blue and red paper 3D glasses. No joke there. You'll just get very disorientated if you try. I've heard that it actually, with a bit of focusing and object shifting, they can be made to work anyway. But it was, I think it was Lyndon's contribution. Wonderful Gwyneth Llewellyn, who posts really long, interesting blogs as a rule, had an April Fool's for us, but it wasn't simple, you know. She had to write 10 pages of it, and you know, you look at the length of the article and you think, oh, this must be serious stuff, but of course it wasn't. And the highlight, of course, the really obvious April Fool's joke was the announcement that Facebook were buying up Linden Labs. And various other things, and it all got all too confusing for me, and I just closed down the feeds and thought, well, I'll see what.
That's sick. I'm sorry, that's sick.
It does bother me, to be honest, because, you know, the old April Fool's pranks, you know, I remember they're, you know, people playing pranks in offices and in the street and things like that, but they're fairly harmless in real life. But when in the days of the web, let alone Second Life, when everything goes viral and gets reposted all over the place for days after, it really is a bit of a pain, to be honest. You know, all these basically, it's a whole load of false news coming in, and the news cannot be trusted for those few days. Which really,
oh man, where's your sense of humor?
Breaking news. That's not breaking news. Wait.
I don't have a sense of humor. It just makes life impossible for me for 2 days. But there again, I get 2 days off.
You still trust any news? Are you saying that you actually do trust the news, but now you're not sure you can?
Well, I'm selective about my sources, not
me too.
Metaverse stuff, but the other kind of feeds. And I think most of the, you know, news feeds that
I'll listen to BBC way before I'll listen to my news. Anyway, excuse me.
Well, actually, I'll listen to anything but the BBC before I listen to the BBC.
Really? Okay, we'll have to talk.
Actually, in this web age, and we're on international platforms, my recommendation to anybody who wants to hear the news is to listen to the news from any country other than your own, because you will get a different view from whatever your own your own propaganda is telling you.
Seriously.
You listen to both, of course, but who's got time to listen to every bit?
I know, right? You just want to hear it once, for God's sakes, really. Enough's enough.
Funny old world, anyway. Now, So much for our new look Inworld review, by the way. I did announce last week that, of course, Maria Karloff is joining us as a co-host, so there'll be me, Maria, and Tara from now on. But unfortunately, she is not here this week because of otherwise pressing work engagements. And also, we are into the week, this coming week, where we will be broadcasting, well, more to the point, the event will be happening, Virtual World's Best Practices in Education. And we'll be talking about that in a very short while indeed. Sadly, Fallon and Leslie, who we'd hope to have on, are literally bogged under with organising things and can't make it. But we've been joined by Lorraine, who's sitting next to me, who will be filling in for them, so to speak, and giving us a great overview of everything going on. And we introduce the guests later as a rule, but I'll do it now. Welcome, Lorraine. Glad you're here.
Thank you very much. Very pleased to be here.
Also, the mysterious voice you heard coming out of the ether was none other than Petlove Petshop, who I'm sure his voice you all know anyway. Welcome, Pet.
Thank you. I can't cam and turn my volume on with the same hand. That's bad.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And yes, I've just had a hint from the channel chat room. We will be mentioning that down. Very sad news. Right, and of course I've got Tara next to me. Hi, Tara.
Hi there. I guess I should unmute myself.
Indeed, for a second. I haven't actually done my intro news yet, but I thought, well, let's play around and adjust the order. We'll be joined very shortly too by saffia Widdershins, but I'll introduce her when she gets here. In the meantime, I've just got a few of my essential links open. As always, if you want everything happening in technology and on the hypergrid, do check out Maria's blog direct, hypergridbusiness.com. I've actually just got a few sort of other highlights for today before we get onto the main discussion. So a lot on Virtual World's Best Practices announcements. Of course, you can check out information at danielvoyager.wordpress.com, and Daniel's in our studio chat room at the moment. Anyway, what else have we here? Oh dear, I've got a pop-up. Right. Interesting little piece. We're talking about best examples of things in virtual worlds, and I guess this is educational too. A post at gizmag.com, that's gizmag.com. Computer simulation casts new light on the ancient Roman campus, a Martius mystery. It's one of these sort of historic builds. Now, I'm not entirely clear whether this is open to the public, and if so, what kind of grid it's on. But looking at the article that they posted there during the week, looks like a nice simulation, historical simulation indeed, and the post gives you quite a bit of background on it as well. Next link, if it will go there. Right, this is from World News Report, although I think it might be New Zealand. The address is world.einnews.com, and it's a post from a couple of days ago. A local Maori, that's why I think it's New Zealand, book publisher has launched the first worldwide coordinated virtual world and book series for teens. This is a little more than the press release, but the idea is they're launching a series of the Lost World Diaries, principally. These are kind of novels for teenage audience, but they all tie in with the virtual world. So when you buy the book, you log into a virtual world and explore it further, which is a nice idea. I mean, sort of keeping literature alive and sort of connecting it virtually to the books. I suspect from what I read there, it's a more or less a closed platform. In other words, it doesn't link to OpenSims or anything like that, but another interesting thing. I also have a report from a site called dzeen.com. That's DEZEEN.com. And this one is it's actually rather unclear. But the title of the blog is Gravity Tablet Makes 3D 3D drawing as easily as doodling on a piece of paper. Now, this isn't an app for an iPad or whatever, and I think it possibly works in conjunction with Oculus, although maybe Oculus is simply an enhanced option. But it is actually rather fascinating because it basically shows this tablet lying flat, like a normal drawing tablet. There is no video that I could grab, unfortunately, but you can draw on the surface and above the surface. So you can literally draw three-dimensional shapes. In other words, you could draw a square on the tablet itself, then move your pen, up and draw another square at a certain elevation, and then draw down the size of it and literally make a 3D box in front of you that kind of looks rather like a hologram. And presumably it keeps the coordinates of everything you're drawing, and presumably you then can render whatever 3D contraption you've made in some suitable format for using elsewhere. But anyway, I thought I'd point that out because it's not all about the worlds, it's about the tools that allow us to do things in the worlds. And finally, those of you who were watching last week, if you were watching the Inworld review, we did actually discuss it quite a lot, but if you're watching the whole Metaverse Week in Review, you saw Philip Rosedale's special presentation about high fidelity. And no sooner was that aired, as it were, than Philip turned up on the Hi-Fi blog on Monday this week. You can find it at High Fidelity, that's HIGHFIDELITY.io. And they don't do many blogs, so that will be the one you get when you go there. And it's basically a piece on identity in the metaverse. I don't know whether this is a prelude to anything he'll be doing on Wednesday when he actually opens best practices. But it sort of lay dormant for a couple of days, and then then it was sort of followed up by quite a few bloggers who are making comments on it. I think it did suggest that Philip wanted High Fidelity to be like a global repository of avatar names and things like that, which is not something he went into at the presentation we showed last week. So you might want to check that out. Anyway, I'm sort of leaving it at that. I do actually have a Google Plus post open from Lorraine Lockford. Who is she? But this is about a quadrivium, but we will come back to that in a while. But meanwhile, for the rest of the news, I'm going to hand over to Tara and assume that there are a few things I've got here which I'm almost certain she's covering, so I'll mention them after if she doesn't. So over to you, Tara.
Well, thank you, Mel. And greetings, everyone, from the Pacific Northwest of the RL Sim. And good to be here for another week. And further into the spring season, although it's been a little wet here this week, but looks like we're going to have some nice weather coming up. Well, as is my usual habit, I always have to bring something to play show and tell with. And this week's show and tell was prompted by finding an item in my inventory, and I still don't remember where I picked this up, but it was fairly recent.
You found it buried in the ground last week. Remember?
Is that where it was?
Yes. And you just brought it back in your inventory. You were lowering the ground. Who was it that had put something down and it vanished? And they Did she ever get it?
Yes, yeah. I think it would have auto-returned.
Not to interrupt, Tara. I'm sorry. I will hush now.
I appreciate that because
it was funny.
It was one of those that I just, I had. It was sort of in with in the time sequence with some items I'd picked up at a gotcha event, but it didn't ring any bells from any gotcha I'd been to. So it led me on a little goose chase. The goose chase is this. The creator of this item is, just a minute, let me get up to my list here, Ferd Fredericks. And Ferd is a relative old-timer. He's been in Second Life for 7 or 8 years. And he has a sim, and I suspect there may be others involved, called Phase Domains, PHAZE DEMESNES. And he has created a number of dragons and creatures, and I just have a couple of them out here. The one in front, which is known as what is it? Let me click on it here. Mama's little baby.
She needs to trim his nails.
Yeah, Mama's little baby, and then we have a fat dragon over here on the right hand side, and I actually disabled his script so he doesn't fly around, because he does fly around. And you can ride on him. And Ferd has created a number of others that are all free.
That's nice.
Just go over and pick them up. And what's really kind of fun about these is I think they fall now in the category of kind of the legacy items, because these were all done with prims. They weren't created with. There might be a few sculpty items on things, but they're definitely way before mesh, and they involve scripts of various kinds, so they fly around in random patterns, and he's got a couple that are fire breathing, and they're just great fun. So it's well worth a visit. The sim has got, I didn't actually have enough time to wander all over the sim, but it's one of those fun visits that is worth it. So
gorgeous.
Yeah, just fun. So you can go collect your own dragon and then fly it all over Second Life, or fly around on Second Life in a funny dragon.
What's the name of the sim?
It's Phase Domain.
Okay.
Phaze, second word Demesnes. And I'll put it in chat later.
Yeah, that would be great.
Hey, when I'm not trying to talk, I can't multitask.
Tell me about it.
And I know that.
Okay.
Well, on the sad news front.
I suddenly realised. I think the dragon, Buzz, has gone viral. That's where Petlove caught her Buzz. Sorry.
I'd like to catch a buzz. Is that okay? You tell me I can do that now. You won't mind? Okay, that's great, Mal. Thank you. I won't quit again. No, I'm only kidding.
Sorry, Tom. I was being flippant there.
That's okay. Hey, we do that here. Well, on the sad news front, Dirk Telemaska passed away a week ago on Sunday. And this was after several weeks of illness and hospitalization. And it looked for a while like he was going to stay with us, but took a turn and has not. And Dirk is one of those people that could well be one of the best known of folks who've been around, wonderful people who have been in Second Life, because of his long-term commitment to mentoring and his involvement in the Second Life mentor program until the plug got pulled on that, and various other things along that line, and combined with that, my own personal happy memory of Dirk is of his wicked sense of humor. And I do recall receiving a couple of odd items from Dirk at one point, and at this point I can't tell you what they were, but they were of the sneaky gag persuasion, and definitely got laughs.
That's a riot.
Yeah, Dirk clearly left a big mark on Second Life and lots of people in Second Life, and there was a memorial gathering yesterday, and from the chat, apparently they started off in one sim and they had to move it to a 4 sim, and they still crashed it. So that gives you some idea of how many people showed up for that. So best wishes to his family in their loss, and I hope we all can think of the happy times and the happy memories we have of Dirk.
Absolutely.
Couple of good news items from Second Life this week from the official end of things. They have something called Second Life Share, SL Share, which is the Inworld tool you can use to post directly to Facebook. And as was noted here a few weeks back, they kind of ran a little afoul of Facebook's policies as far as including URLs, and I'm not sure that that's gotten ironed out. But they have now released in a project viewer an update to SL Share, which allows also direct posting to Twitter and Flickr. The couple of interesting things in this that caught my attention were that they're not only, well, they say they're designed to be intuitive. I don't know. I haven't tried them out because I haven't downloaded the project viewer, but the two things that caught my attention are the fact that, one, there's a built-in post-processing filters that have been added, and it doesn't stop there. The post-processing filters have been designed to be modifiable by you, our users. So you can create your own filters and all that. So check out the wiki page if you want to play with it before it gets into the main viewer. There is a project viewer, and follow the links from the official Second Life blog for the details on that. And the second interesting announcement was one from OnLive regarding SL
Go.
SL Go, yeah. There's this little. I have this little problem with SL Go, and that is that I keep wanting to put an extra O in it.
Yeah.
So that it becomes Slow Go, which I'm sure isn't fair.
I thought you were thinking of SL Goo.
No. Oh, Goo. No, that's Grey Goo, not SL Goo. No, anyway, SL Go has, announced a definite price drop, and as many of you will recall, this was one of the probably the loudest noises that got made when it came out was the price tag. So now you can get a $10 US a month unlimited use, or you can still pay on $1 an hour US pay as you go. Either way. And the 20-minute free trial still stands if you haven't already tried this out. And they've expanded the number of countries it's available in. So if you happen to be in Andorra, Iceland, Poland, Latvia, or Vatican City, in addition to the US and the UK and various other places, you can now use SL Go. So for those who have crummy connections or have an Android device, give it a check out. And one thing people probably may not realize is you can also run this on Macs and PCs. So it may be a way for some people who don't have the graphics capacity to up the ante in Second Life to get a bigger experience of Second Life. So there's that. Another interesting upcoming event from Virtual Ability. They're staging a mental health symposium on Saturday, the 26th of April, all day, featuring a variety of speakers and topics. This year's main focus is mental health care and the quality of life. So main topics are well-being, aging and healthy life, and then a couple insights from research current authors. I'm not sure what neither of those communicate very much to me, but anyway, that sounds like a real interesting event. It will be held at the Virtual Ability Sim, so watch their blog or visit the sim on the 26th for the particulars and the schedule, which I don't think is out yet. Also upcoming, and this is those of you who keep up on machinima releases as they happen will know that Draxter's new one is on the opening of the Paradise Lost production. First performances were this weekend. This is a paid ticket only, so they can control attendance. It will be running into June, but after about the next couple of weeks, it is only running on Saturdays once a week. So I would recommend that you get your tickets early and often if you want to go. This really sounds like quite an amazing production, and it did when they had some casting calls here some months back. A pretty staggering amount of time has gone into this production, and they have a huge cast. So really feels like one of the must-see events of the year. So there you go. And 50% of the ticket sales are going to the World Wildlife Fund Adopt a Gorilla program. So it's a good deal. It's a good thing. And let's see, Mal, you covered the announcement from High Fidelity, and they definitely are planning. Actually, was an announcement. High Fidelity will run a global service that lets you optionally share and validate identity information, and also lets you selectively show this information to other people in a virtual world, regardless of what location or server you are currently in. This struck me a bit as a gauntlet being thrown down on the ongoing issue of Facebook's very hard-nosed stand about you have to use your RL name and all that, versus Second Life, which has maintained any personal real-life information you reveal is entirely your business position. So I'm going to be very interested in seeing just exactly what High Fidelity is planning to do there, because I think it has the potential to address some of those concerns. So I guess we'll just have to stay tuned on that one. And on that note, I'm going to toss it back to Mal, because I know Saffia has arrived, and I know she has some time limits today. So back to you, Mal.
Okay, thanks, Tara. Regarding the virtual ability thing, I'm hoping we'll get Gentle Heron on the show in a couple of weeks to talk about that before it happens. And everybody knows I've been in my bonnet about the long-lost desktop chat client for Slim, it used to be called, Second Life IM. And I kind of rather like the idea that hopefully High Fidelity will be thinking in terms of communications sort of thing that will allow you to see who's logged in, not necessarily real life, but avatar thoughts. And I'm also hoping that I can persuade, I don't know if it's been on a discussion program, but I might try and persuade Bruce Joy from Vastpart to come on one Sunday, because he, of course, is behind, along with other people, the Open Avatar project, the idea being that you would, there'd be a central repository of avatar names. Even though it's not a project directly connected with OpenSim or Second Life, it is actually compatible, if you see what I mean. So that might be quite well. Bevan in chat has just said, my Pocket Metaverse works pretty well on my iPad. And this is really funny. She's reminded me of something that really bugged me this week. I use Pocket Metaverse and Pocket Metaverse Pro on my iPad, one for OpenSim and one for Second Life. I could use the same for both, but it's just easier to have separate logins. And I recently had to restore my iPad during the week. Real disaster. Fortunately, it all happened at April Fool's, so I was saved a lot of things. But when I actually tried downloading my apps into iTunes on the PC, my virus software kept on popping up an alert every time iTunes tried to download Pocket Metaverse. Now, it didn't affect me, of course, because I downloaded it for use. I simply downloaded it straight to the iPad, but I was surprised by that. I don't know what it was that they didn't like about it, but Avast software, anyway, was very upset about it, saying it was quarantining it for me. Anyway, that's just a little side. As Tara mentioned, of course, we've now been joined by Saffia Widdershins. We haven't seen her for a while, so it's great to have her back. Hi, Saffia. This is the bit where we probably go through the unmute exercise. Hello, Saffia.
Hello, Mal.
There we are.
I was just hoping that my lips were going to work, and they are.
They are. You are flapping away.
I was going to wait and see.
Right.
Lip flap on, lip flap off, lip flap on.
That's right.
So I'm going to start with it. I know you are pressed for time anyway, Saffia. I hope you can join the conversation for a while. But there's a couple of things I'd like to start with, actually, where you're concerned. Firstly, as Tara mentioned, so I didn't need to, sad loss with Dirk Tamalaska. Have I got it right?
Kalamaska.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm terrible with pronunciation sometimes. And from your report, as Tara mentioned, the tribute, the memorial thing service yesterday was very oversubscribed, wasn't it? I mean, crashing 4 Sims and whatever. But I gather you are going to be doing a special program this week as a tribute to him, aren't you?
Yes, we are. I went to the memorial yesterday, and as you said, it was horrendous. We had to go going back, but it was exactly the sort of thing that Dirk would have relished thoroughly. That so many people came to his funeral, they kept crashing the sim.
I think that's a great send-off. That was a real act of love. Yeah.
In itself. It was wonderful because there were a lot of people who I hadn't seen for years and years who came. There are people who I see quite often. Bevan was there, and Maxwell Graf, Simi, but there were people like Raven Pennyfeather and Sassy Scarborough and Cicey Chapman. A lot of names from the past who I didn't realise, who came specially, I think, because it was Dirk. Stoker was there, Stoker Serpentine.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I was, sadly enough, I didn't really know him that well. I did encountered him a few times, a great guy, but, I didn't, Torvin knew him better than me, and a lot of people did, but very much appreciated Inworld. And, an old-timer too, which I think explains, people revisiting Second Life just to come to that. I think it might be better we didn't refer to it as a funeral. I think it was more of a wake.
It's like a New Orleans-style send-off.
And the problem with wakes, of course, is they always throw a great party on the one day they know you can't make. Which, alas, is not an original quote. It comes from The Big Chill, but it's a great line.
Yeah. Yes, indeed.
So, we are going to do a tribute show. He was on various programs. We have some clips of him on Designing World shows, and I believe he was also on Grumpy Old Avatars. And
yes, he was once, yeah.
And I think Bevan is going to be able to get us a clip of that, hopefully, so that we'll be able to include that in the show. We're hoping that people will send photographs of him and come along and talk about their memories of him. And the idea is to pull together a show that he would have enjoyed that can stand as a tribute to him, so that people who maybe didn't know what he meant to this virtual world could watch the show and find out why people here just loved him so much.
That's wonderful. I'd forgotten he was on Avatar. Not Avatar Studios. Yeah, I think he was there too. But Grumpy's. But I might better dig up the footage of that if
that'd be brilliant. Thank you, Matt.
If there's time, it's probably MP4, but I'm probably got it somewhere a while ago now.
What we're doing is having a planning meeting at 2 p.m. in the Designing World studio on Garden of Dreams, and people can come along and talk about what they would like to do. And then we'll actually record it at 1 p.m. on Thursday. It's an unusual day for us. We usually plan shows on Thursday and tape on Tuesday, but it seemed more logical. It was a bit soon to start planning it last Thursday, we felt. So we thought we'd plan Tuesday and film on Thursday.
Right, so you're filming and you're not broadcasting live. You're just going to film it and broadcast.
No, I imagine there'll be an audience for both. We may need to beat them off with a stick or something. Otherwise, I can see it.
If that last send-off was any indication, yeah.
No, what time will that be then? I'm just thinking because this will actually be. This is actually going to be on the Open OS grid day for virtuals with patches, but that will be over fairly early. So presumably people will be able to get to your recording afterwards.
They don't have to.
No, but I think
they'll see the show when it's shown, which will be.
I imagine that there'll be a slight collision of interest there. I'm sure there will be a lot of people involved in VWBPE that are new Dirk as well. Yeah,
I think they can stick with the education thing. For the actual taping, we don't. It'll probably be people who just want to talk and things.
Right. Okay,
but that will be great, and then I'm sure that when it's shown, when we have the viewing party, which will be a couple of Mondays later, that's going to turn into a party too.
Yeah. Oh, a very wonderful thing, a nice thing to be doing, to do a show just dedicated to him. So that'd be great. Okay, I'm going to tackle you on something else before we move into a more general conversation. And that is, I guess it's no secret that you've been learning to do a bit of editing and composing yourself with Adobe Premiere. And actually, sometime after this show on the Machinima bit, we'll be showing a little Sherlock Holmesy sort of beginning clip that was done by yours truly. Instead of producing, you actually filmed it and did everything else. But I've also noticed, goes something we won't be showing, mostly because there's a hell of a lot of it. You seem to be doing an almost daily news bulletin for Doctor Who role players, which is rather intriguing. We'll just have to. It's wasted to just being Doctor Who, to be honest. The idea, but it's about every second day or something you're popping up. Here's Saffia with the news from. Whatever it is, actually. Tell all.
Well, what it is, there's a group of role-playing sims based around the new Gallifrey sim. I've been friendly with some of the people involved in that for absolute yonks. We've done a Designing World show on them, but my friendship with people like Nick Hewitt, Terry Lightfoot, and Vic Mornington goes back years and years. Terry and Nick and I used to hang out at Caledon Penzance together. I was a part of his wonderful video, Caledon putting on the Ritz, which they used way back in about 2007 or 2008 to raise money for Relay for Life.
One of the first of the London meetups here we had in Real World London, of course. Nick and Terry
were there. Yes, Terry was over.
We had a special for her, as it were.
Yes, that's right. Yes, I'd forgotten that was the first time we all met, actually, in the flesh, as opposed to in the pixel. Yeah, first time I met Elric, first time I met you, first time I met Terry and Nick in the flesh. And so anyway, I've been sort of on the fringes of the new Gallifrey gang for quite a while, and I knew they had a big role play coming up, and one of the people centrally involved is David Abbott, who of course is the writer of Black and Mirror. Actually, Mal, I hate to break it to you, but there's a huge number of people probably have a TARDIS tucked away somewhere and are secret titles. It's actually terrifying when you get to meet them all because you know them. And so anyway, I knew they were doing this big role play, and I was working on this course I've been doing on Premiere. The Sherlock Holmes video is actually my final project for a special Adobe course I've been doing on Premiere. And I thought, right, well, I really want to keep my hands in. So I suggested that I could do the occasional news bulletin.
Occasional?
Which have rather multiplied, yes, and are growing in complexity too. But it's been really good for honing my skills. I'm sure Pet will tell you how practice really does help.
It's a wonderful thing. For most people, not necessarily me right away, but But it's a good thing.
I'm doing it on the back of years of working with you, so it's like I knew a lot of it because you had shown me.
We climbed a few hills.
That's right. And so, now I can actually get into that sort of stuff. And the idea of the news bulletins is that they should tell the story in a way that people who aren't involved in the Doctor Who community can follow it. It comes as daily, well, not daily, not quite weekly yet, but little bulletins, 5 or 10 minutes long.
That's nice. That's right up your alley, too.
Yeah.
So you're bringing a lot of skills, and Machinima will just add to your array of things that you can bring to whatever task you choose,
Yeah.
Which is the scary part. Wait, which is the most scary? That's awesome. I'm really happy for you.
Of course, people like Pez are going to be saying that you've got no excuse to run around after Machinima people now. Just do it yourself.
Well, you know what? Somebody asked me to do a how to make a Machinima quick as a prize for an RFL team or something. Random Padar got hold of me. She's not on a team this year. She can't be because she's administrating somehow. But anyway, she asked if I would consider that, and I think that's a great idea. And I think you should join me as an Adobe person.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I could probably help people with the basics.
More than me. Anyway, it's a thought. I thought that was a nice thing. I think everybody should know how to make movies. I really do. Okay.
Broadcast your own. Yeah, we'll all be out of a job soon. There'll just be so much live broadcasting going. I think it's Twitch TV on the web, which is dedicated to gamers, and just 24 hours a day, people are posting themselves live from games. Where interfaces showing and fighting and all the rest of it.
I like their comments, with the things they say as they play the game.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny.
I've had a few of those since Second Life, but I haven't dared show them because they don't really, unless you're really into it, I don't think they're going to grab you, and some of the language and behaviour is a bit suspect.
Well, it's going to be interesting in a couple of weeks on Designing Worlds, because we're actually going to be playing a game live. It's not a role-play game. I won't say any more about it yet, but because it's 2 weeks off, but it's something quite new for us. We had great fun doing it. I hope that audiences are going to have great fun watching it too. It's something rather different.
All right. I've just you've actually I just remembered actually I posted something earlier which I have now forgotten, but basically here we are. The Lost Mine. It's a hunt rather, and it's a game hunt. It's the latest from MAP, who've been rather quiet recently, and that's getting a lot of. Well, they're just always good, aren't they?
They are terrific.
That's up and around now at the moment too. Okay. What was? Oh yeah, one sort of feed post here that I missed earlier, which is published on April the 2nd, thank goodness, from the New York Times, taking it all rather seriously. If you like immersion, you'll love this reality. Yet another post triggered by Facebook's takeover of Oculus, but a rather good article there in general. So if you check our New York Times on April the 2nd, you'll find that there. Okay, well let me move on. We'll leave Inworld links and stuff to a bit later. As I mentioned at the top of the show, we're all sort of go for Virtual World's best practices in education. It begins on Wednesday and continues through to Saturday next week. 4 days. The Thursday, or most of the events are happening on OS Grid, but otherwise it's sort of here in Second Life. And if you're watching this channel, Metaverse Week in Review, I should say, before we came on air, you would have seen some of the promo footage we put up for that. I will apologise, by the way, that was just a sneak preview. There were some typos and various other things in that. Those are not the
sneak preview of why I quit being a secretary 20 years ago.
Yeah, we just
God.
showed a bit of nice footage of sort of the intros, outro bits that are underway at the moment, but then they're not complete yet. So it was just a little teaser.
Tune in this time tomorrow.
Yeah, well, indeed. We will be broadcasting the whole 4 days on this channel. Basically, it's going to be you have opening, closing. I'm holding a machinima panel, as it were, and there are basically there's 7 keynotes in all. There's it's not quite 2 a day, but it's near that, and we'll be broadcasting. We're so contracted to do this, but we'll be broadcasting a couple of the panels on OpenSim and Future of Virtual Worlds as well. So it promises to be a great event, and we'll be live on this channel with it. I also need, by the way, if I don't say it now, I won't get it, I'll forget. I am a big fan of a program called if this, then that. I've got a version on my iPad, and it allows me to code various things so that, for example, anything I forward to my Tumblr blog automatically goes to my Inworld Twitter feed, and anything I post elsewhere gets automatically forwarded to my main Twitter feed. Well, I was adding some wonderful new functions to it yesterday, and I think I made a bit of a goof because whenever I recommend this program to anybody, I say, beware how you use it. You might get yourself in a loop. And it seems to me I've done just that, because today my Twitter feed has been duplicating all over the place. In other words, it's going to one place, being sent to another, and then sent back to the first place. And oh dear, dear me, if you are following my Twitter feeds, especially the Inworld one.
Yuck, that's a shame.
Do forgive the duplicates. When this show is over tonight, or at least tomorrow morning, I will endeavour to delete my wonderful little robots that are performing all this for me. Anyway, that is just a small point there. So, as far as Virtual World's best practice is concerned, that's it from our point of view. But we have been joined by Lorraine Lockford, who I introduced earlier. Hello again, Lorraine.
Hello, Mal. How are you?
Okay. I'm very well and bubbly, as you could probably tell. So, it's the motor mouth when we go live. Of course, we were originally going to have both Kevin and Letty here, but they're so bogged under with everything else going on that they've given you the job of bringing us up to date with what's going on. So maybe I'll just hand to you. Maybe you want to give us a pitch and a rundown of what's going on and when, and anything special we can look forward to, and I'll prompt you as we go.
Oh, that sounds wonderful. So I'm the communications chairperson, so they kind of said, okay, here you go. Take over, since we're going to be in hiding. So neither one of them has been answering any of my calls all day long.
Close.
Busy.
Well, that's good, because then you can make it however you want it to be.
Exactly. That was my thinking. So we're all ready to go. We have everything lined up. We've been doing busy doing volunteer training over the weekend, and the speaker training started today and will continue for the next couple of days, and that's connecting the speakers with their mentors and people who will help them, and let people have a walkthrough of what their spaces are going to look like. Our revised, revamped, rebuilt Central Auditorium has a fantastic Egyptian ruins theme to it now. It's pretty cool.
I was trying to decide whether it was Roman or Grecian.
Well, I think it's Egyptian.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah. So the sort of green room is a pyramid. So that's where folks go to get ready. And then in behind the stage is like the inner sanctum, if you will, of the temple. So it's in behind the auditorium. And it's quite lovely and has a different feel to it than the steampunk one that we've been used to for the last few years. I think, yeah.
It sort of feels, it's obviously as big, but in some ways it feels smaller. I suppose it's because it's open and everything.
Yeah.
Big
it
area.
It feels more intimate, I think, than the steampunk one did. Yeah.
Yeah, you were drowned out by the colossal infrastructure, weren't you, of the steampunk bit? You didn't quite know where to go.
And I often do the transcription work, so I'm down, in the old one, I was down below the stage, what many of your folks were as well, too, Mel. So we were we were unseen down there, so it's kind of neat to be in a different space. So anyhow, that's all ready to go, and our gateway's ready to go. We should have all the lanyards ready for people tomorrow on Monday. And the program's been set for a couple of weeks now, so it's been very exciting not to have any last minute changes. So that's great.
It just occurs to me, actually, a lot of people who will watch this show, especially in replay, are probably bloggers and things. There is, you are going to be having a sort of press preview, aren't you, of some sort?
Yes, we had hoped to have that this weekend, but because things weren't quite ready, we're not there. So for folks who want to, any of the bloggers or press folks, I'll be around on on the morning, so they can come in and we'll do a bit of a tour. And I'll be promoting that over all the social media channels exactly when people will be available. So to come in and have a bit of a tour, private tour. Yeah. And then you'd mentioned the quadrivium as well.
Oh, yes. Yeah, that was, because I came across your post on Google Plus. In fact, I think it was either this morning or yesterday. And that of course, isn't the keynote. That's a separate thing entirely. Yes, tell us about that.
Yeah, so what we've done is we've always wanted to have a place where people could gather. And, sometimes you have some when you go to a physical conference, you have sort of breakout rooms that people can go to for different special interests. And so we've wanted to do that for a number of years, and we've never quite managed to find the right formula. And this year we think we have. So we've set aside a space on the Gateway Sim called the Quadrivium, and where four roads meet is what Letty and Phelan are calling it, and where we can share ideas. And so it has several purposes. The first one is just a place for people to gather and to share ideas and to talk and to have that space created for them to share those talks. And the other one is to have to fill some sort of empty spaces, especially in the Second Life morning time, when there will be nothing on the program necessarily. So we're inviting people to submit proposals via the website, and just to be kind of an unconference. So they have to have them in by 3 o'clock on Monday, 3 o'clock Second Life time, and submitted via the website. And we'll give you time and space, and you can do it. And I've been inviting people who are in the current Second Life MOOC too, so they can maybe they want to share their presentations again. That would be really exciting, because those are all educators as well.
The MOOC thing is kind of interesting, because I think last year, wasn't it, that instead of having workshops at the actual 4 days, you introduced the idea of having these special MOOC things afterwards. And that's continuing this year, isn't it?
Yes, it's for virtual tours, actually, because we actually started it a couple of years ago, and it was really just, when you try and run a tour to another virtual world, or even to another sim necessarily within Second Life, it can get really hard to get there and back, and especially if you have to create another avatar and account or whatever. So do that all within 50 minutes or even 90 minutes. It's a bit challenging. So,
and if you want to film it too, isn't it?
Exactly. So we carved off the space after the conference to be MOOCs, and it was actually started by Kayvon a couple of years ago, and then Letty and I have just followed up on it from that, and we've had great support from Jürgen Kappas of Comedia, who was providing the sound for Cloud Party, which sadly is no longer with us, but Jürgen's company still is, so it's great. And we've got a number of different things, different tours I think we have 6 tours that we'll follow up with in the weeks after Easter. We're going to wait until after Easter to start that, because Easter falls right after the conference, and we don't want it to.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's really fun.
Yeah,
we had a blast last year.
All right, so are there, we pretty much know who's actually going to be appearing. Opening is Philip Rosedale, of course, which I believe. I think that is at 9 a.m. on Wednesday, isn't it? Second Life time.
No, it's at 1 p.m. Second Life time.
Right, there was some confusion on the time on that, so I'm glad we cleared that up, and that's immediately after the opening. Yes. On day 2, of course, we're going to be on OpenSim, which is it looks a bit like Second Life, but it's just a different thing. And we have, from this very show indeed, we have Maria Koroloff presenting there, and Justin Clark Casey.
Yes.
And then we're back to, and there's going to be a panel there too, which is one we're going to film.
Yes.
Yeah. Then we're back. Well, let's go through it. So then we're back to Second Life in the second half of Thursday, are we?
Starting at 1:00 in the afternoon with social networking in the quadrivium, looking at technology issues. So there's sort of loosely moderated discussions that we'll have there.
Right. Then we move forward to Friday, and we have 2 keynotes on Friday, I think. And well, go through Friday. Let's do it in order.
We start with Andrew Hughes at 7:00 in the morning is our first keynote in the auditorium, and then that second keynote is going to be at 1:00 in the afternoon, and that's Ebby Altberg.
Right.
So it's kind of exciting to have him there, boy.
Ebby actually said that he's going to make his presentation quite short because he's really anxious to get into dialogue with the people, which is rather interesting. I'll have to talk to you.
He has a nice face, but I'm not sure about that statement.
Yeah, he's got a new avatar now, so he's looking like a cool kid. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll have to talk about that because we may have to make special arrangements if he's going to take Q&A. We may have to make special arrangements on Skype.
I was just going to offer to leave my computer running the whole time. You can pick the spot, and you'll have some fixed shots sometimes, but there's so much good stuff. It's such a great convention, and especially if you are an educator, and you have an opportunity to bring this technology into whatever you're doing with whomever. I mean, it's really inspirational. It's ingenious. And it's exciting. And I, for one, I worked with middle school kids, and most of them, not all of them, but most of them would really enjoy learning through the use of these tools, virtual worlds. Get a kid to build the, Trojan War, he'll learn it, he'll know it the rest of his life,
Exactly.
I mean, and maybe he'll even think about it. God help us.
I was intrigued by that announcement I made earlier from the teenage books, for example, that are going to tie in with the virtual world. I mean, I think these are fiction, so it's a different ball game. But if those were textbooks, it's a natural sort of combination.
It'd be engaging.
I remember reading First World War and all sorts of stuff for history back when I was a little whipper, and I was quite into it. So it was no problem, but I just think how much better it would have been if you could have gone in and somewhere and visualized this or experienced somebody else's simulation. You would definitely remember it a bit more.
You can here because
I was just going to say,
First World War poetry sim.
Yes, which is based in Oxford, where you are in the UK. Well, in real life, that is. Yes, of course there is. In that particular case, that is a wonderful build too. You did a program on it. We did a program, and we all did programs on it.
Oxford sold it a few years ago, actually, but Veritas Rainmaker of Tomasek took it over, and he's kept it going because he believes it's such a valuable thing to have on the grid.
Absolutely.
That's nice. Yeah.
So we're on Friday. We've got Ebby. Yes. Who else do we have on Friday?
On Friday, so those are the 2 keynotes. We have Andrew in the morning and Andrew Hughes in the morning, and then Ebby in the afternoon. And then we also have a featured panel in the morning, which is the Science Circle, and that's going to be a good one as well.
Right, tell me about that. I don't think that's one we did film, but
hang on. Get to the right page here. The Science Circle is looking at what do they call it? Science Circle, connecting different disciplines and inspiring creativity and inventiveness. And so it's got folks on it like Chantel Snook and Jesse Stannard and Phil Youngblood and Steve Van Hook and Deep Thinker O, which are all big time science folks here in virtual worlds, and looking at how we can use again bringing science to virtual environments and to making it more interesting and challenging for students, and how can they use it more effectively.
And they will come up with stuff too.
Oh my gosh.
Isn't that awesome? That's probably the best part of the whole thing.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
And they're going to be
Carry on. I'll come back to it.
Okay, so they're going to be looking at sort of some of the activities that have been going on with the Science Circle over the last 6 years. So doing a review of the things that have happened with the Science Circle, which is a group of scientists and science educators in virtual environments, and then talking about what they do and where they can go with it.
Great. I just remembered that when we were running down on Thursday, as well as the two keynotes on OpenSim, there is actually a panel there, which I'm quite keen to record. I know Fleep is on it, Fleep 2, who owns Chilbo here, actually. She's, founder of Chilbo. Who else is on that? You can refresh my memory.
Hang on, let me go back to that
refresh your own memory, too. It's hard work, this, isn't it?
It's funny, we were talking about iPads earlier. I've just got my iPad here and hoping that everything pops open at the same time. So I'm just waiting for that one. But that's also going to be a good one. And again, it's got Joyce Betancourt with it, Rhiannon Chatenois, and then Fleep is, of course, going to be on that one. Crystal Lopez, who's a Diva Canto in Second Life, it's going to be great. She does some super stuff. And Melanie Theichler, who is Melanie Milland here in Second Life. And then Michael Ciccone. Oh dear, I can't say that one. But he's Nebadon Izumi in Second Life. So we've got some amazing stuff.
You can't say Ciccone, but you can say Nebadon Izumi. I couldn't help but notice.
Nebadon is very instrumental in the OpenSim. He was a leading player in the OpenSim conference last year. So that will be a great panel for sure. Now, moving forward to Saturday, I guess, there's two keynotes on Saturday, I believe. I should point out that, as far as I know, the opening, which we immediately before Philip on Wednesday, will be actually quite short this year, and there is no awards ceremony as such this Saturday. But I gather I don't think we can name the person concerned, but there's going to be a Lifetime Achievement Award at the very end of Saturday.
Yes, we're going to have a little bit of a closing ceremony with a what we're calling. Well, we'll just leave it as a Lifetime Achievement Award for now, but there'll be more on that coming later.
Yeah, well deserved. I'll say in advance. So. Yes. So, what's the actual keynotes on Saturday?
On Saturday, we've got David Gibson is coming back as a keynote speaker. He was with us a couple of years ago, and used his time to crowdsource with the audience about some of their work and how they're using games and simulations, and then he's going to be sort of sharing some of his information on that. So he'll be there at 7:00 in the morning, and in the afternoon, our closing keynote is. Now here I'm going to have trouble. Larissa Nadolny. There you go.
That's good.
Yeah, she's going to be our last one. Our last keynote at 1:00 in the afternoon.
And everybody drops dead as the marathon ends. I forgot to mention, I might as well do a bit of a self-plug here. Also, immediately after, about 50 minutes after the opening with Philip, I'm hosting a panel, which we will be filming too, which is, for those of you interested in machinima, it's a machinima panel. We'll be showing 3 films, basically, that have been submitted. Very different films, I hasten to add. I glimpsed at them while uploading them earlier. And I'll be basically interviewing or moderating a discussion with the creators of the 3 machinima. So if you're into machinima, that's not to be missed too. They are, of course, educational machinima. One's Minecraft, for example, and stuff. But good stuff, good stuff.
Yeah. The panels are phenomenal, and the speakers are great, and then all the in-between sessions are going to be really fun and interesting too. So.
Oh, Bevan in chat has reminded us that on I think this is on the Saturday. It might be the Friday. That is one panel where we will film. I think it's got Bot Girl, Tab Scott, and Felon himself, which is all about the future of virtual worlds, isn't it? On Saturday, she says. Yeah.
On Saturday. Hang on.
You think I'd know this by heart by now? I've got it written down. The notepad's just not open.
Yes, well, there's a great one on Saturday. It's called Connecting the Past, Present, and Future, and it's got Bot Girl on it, and Tab Scott, Kevin, the whole book. It's going to be great.
That should be good.
And also on Saturday, I just need to put my plug in for Virtual Ability too, because the last panel of the day will be the Freedom Project, and it's talking about artistic expression in how artistic expression transcends our real life challenges. And so there'll be a number of terrific panelists on that one, including our Gentle Heron from Virtual Ability.
They got me to film that. I owe them a film on that, so I'm glad you said that. It gives me an idea of.
Cool.
I mean, I know I wanted to have it done about 3 days ago, but of course, it's not the way it works. But yeah, they're going to have a nice machinima of that too.
Oh,
Tara Lynn Gravois and Gentle Heron got all the artists in, and we looked at their art and they spoke about what they did, and it's nice.
Yeah, it's been a great project. Yeah.
Presumably, JJ Zimbabwe's on.
Yes, JJ's
that too, isn't he?
Yeah, I still need his piece actually. JJ, if you're listening, you know where to find me.
I heard from him the other day saying, "Will I please be on the jury for the new project in a month or whatever it is?" They're doing another, arts and machinima sort of season coming up in about a month or something. I forget what the theme is, but it's it's like one of the old ones that they did in the past, where machinimas contribute on the theme and artists, the open art contest and everything, all back again, which would be great. So
perhaps I should. Sorry, I was going to say perhaps I should make one this year rather than judging them.
Yeah, yes. Why not?
Good idea, Sam.
Somebody really has that bug. Just be careful. It's going to get deep.
Take your Adobe Premiere to the UWA Sims and give away.
Well, not really. It needs to be the fraps that goes to the Sims.
Oh, yeah, quite. But.
And Pet was very helpful in getting me up to speed with fraps.
It's so simple. Really, anybody can do it. I mean, you push F9. How hard is that? Hello?
Yeah, but you have to push all those Control F.
Oh, it becomes nothing. It's like yawning.
Actually,
you get used to it.
As somebody who is now firmly up to date, I take it on Adobe Premiere. Does Premiere the new? My version is a very old version. The only files that it imports, as such, are actually Windows Media Video, not MP4 or anything. Does your new version that you've been learning include greater import facilities than previously for, I don't know, MP4, AVI, all the different forms people used to film with?
It seems to take anything I've chucked at it so far.
Oh, wow.
I've been editing this today. I film in AVI, and that's what I import to because it's uncompressed and it gives you the best quality, and you want to keep the best quality. But I have taken MP4s in before now, because when I do a news bulletin and people send me stuff, they send it to me in MP4. So it quite happily integrates MP4 into the video, and as what I'm outputting is for the web anyway, the quality is surprisingly consistent. It seems to cope quite well. It'll also, I've been adding WAV files and AIFs on the soundtrack, so it seems very hospitable. Actually,
that's great. Maybe you could.
The moment you said it takes anything authorities, I thought, yeah, okay, that's a good software. Sorry, okay.
Oh, I was just going to say, maybe Saf, you could throw an hour of live streaming towards the VWBPE this coming week. A mercy stream.
I'm thinking of getting up to live stream for Relay for Life. That would be my.
It's equally simple.
Yeah.
It really isn't hard.
That's of course, and while we're on the subject, will be the big project, I guess, for most of us. Well, once Virtual's first practice is over in a week or so, we'll be resurrecting the long ladder that leads us up to the final weekend of Relay for Life.
That's a nice way to put it. That's interesting.
Yeah, I was trying to be sort of delicate there.
Well, people work so hard. It is like climbing a ladder. Those teams out there work their butts off. They really do. You know, they really want to do some good, and this is such a great opportunity to do some good. It's nice.
Indeed, and it's the one time of the year when we all get together, because a lot of us are doing separate things during
the birthday, the VWBPE, with the Christmas things, they don't count. Just kidding.
The birthday will be coming soon, yeah.
Oh, crumbs, yeah, I keep forgetting it. Yeah, that will be, in the midst of it all. I don't know whether that's before Relay for Life or after.
It's before.
It's before. You don't hear about it at the last minute, do you? I think Evie should hang around on Saturday, by the way, for the past, present, and future of SL. That sounds like one he should be listening to as well. But I guess that we'll have to announce the birthday whenever it happens, if they're doing anything themselves.
It's like listening to the weather, though. You know, all you have to do is like go outside and look. Same with SL, because on any given day, it's this Saturday, and it's fine, you know. The virtual weather.
Well, Mel, remember that the birthday celebration the last couple of years has been a community-run event, not a Second Life official event. So
that's how it will be this year, I suspect.
I would think so. You know, with a new CEO around, you never know. But you know, whether they'd want to be more involved. But you know, well, time will tell. Time will tell. It's like the seasons. You know, this is probably the last 2 weeks. You know, I read lots of Inworld blogs from fashionistas or role players or people just doing things. And you know, the last couple of weeks have been a load of those blog titles saying "Spring is here." You know, changing the sim to spring.
I think a lot of people are really happy it's spring. It's been a heck of a winter.
Even if it's still winter in real life, they're changing the Sims to spring in the Northern Hemisphere at least. So
it makes you feel better.
It does.
It's like the light at the end of the winter tunnel.
Well, let's face it, if you're in the frozen winter in real life, probably the perfect thing is a sim that's in midsummer on the beach, and possibly vice versa if you're sweltering in the summer.
This year, I did get that out of Second Life. There were like 2 feet of snow outside, and I was like looking at the ocean waves. It was okay with me. Worked for me.
Me too, Pat.
Right on.
It's the escape factor, but you know, it comes in good.
You know, the only trouble with that though is I don't know about anybody else, but I notice that I tend to dress in Second Life
for the weather.
For the weather
Me
in
too.
my RL sim. And
look at me.
There's
don't
just
look at me.
something about putting on, a tank top and shorts in the middle of January
with snow outside. Right? It just does not work, does it?
My physical body's chilly, and I've got the heat cranked up. I just can't do it.
I've almost reached separation from that, actually, Tara. It's pretty funny. You know, this year for the first time, I don't mind so much. You know, I relate to the avatar. You know, it is me. They are us. But at the same time, if she's like floating or dressed wrong, I let it go for pretty long periods of time. when you know, before I have to fix this. This isn't right. You know. Anyway, that's funny. It's true.
But you can tell we're Northern Hemisphere people. Look
at
But you're being corrupted, Pet, by filming fashionista shows.
I am loving it. You know, I am. It's a pleasure. I have to say. I don't care what people say about some things sometimes, you know. I mean, it's a beautiful thing, and I'm really happy to see it. It's nothing I ever would have come across in real life. I'm not a fashion person. I don't get the magazines, you know. So I do enjoy it in Second Life.
It's the same with me, Angie. I've sort of, helped coordinate sort of a couple of various fashion shows and
Yeah.
things online, just roped in to help, and you meet all these models and costume designers and things, and actually it's creatively it's all the ones doing them tend to be intelligent and
talent, tons of talent,
talented,
eye for
like
beauty.
So,
it's really a neat thing.
and boy, do they take some of it seriously.
Yeah.
It's good. And you what was the way you filmed it? Wasn't it? It was live on AV's channel a couple of months ago, which
Levu Devordian or something. Nobody quite knew how to say the name, but Levu basically. And nice organization, really nice people,
and
beautiful stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's very different roaming around those two rooms and things to a normal show. But what really I thought was really good, I mentioned this to you because I watched it on live stream while you were doing it, was, the commentators, the people talking.
Brilliant women.
It was really articulate. The sound quality, of course, naturally was great.
Oh, thank you.
But, they were articulate and they also knew exactly what they were doing. There wasn't any dead air. And the moderators, as it were.
Shariel Answer I've worked with her before, and she's really great. She's really great. Everybody who was there was really great, like Black Quartz and Absinthe and Patricia, Vicky J. Yeah, really, like you said, articulate and really knew their stuff.
You actually had the feeling that they knew they were doing it for television, as it were, as opposed to, we go to a lot of events and their mindset is very different, so you have to...
They were excellent performers.
No dead air, talk to camera, and all that stuff.
Yep, they were professional,
Yeah, so they did a really good job there. There's a machinima maker, Bonifacio, does some... quite a lot of fashion shows as well, and we have a couple of those coming up we can review later. Heavy on fashion in the lifestyle section this week.
Cool.
So we have now Pet.
Yes.
A small diversion. We have the latest Happy Hunting coming up later, and it's the 50th episode. That's right. And high five to Saffia. Saffia too, huh? High five to all of us. Yeah, 50 shows. Coming up is 51. Stay tuned for the 100th, I suppose. Yeah. Well, now it's weekly. Or did I hear it was going daily? We'll be at the 100th one before I had to mute myself. That was like, you guys were lucky. It was like a what? Oh, yeah. I do remember. It could be daily. Okay, excuse me. Hosted and filmed by Saffia.
You were very brave to go weekly, actually. I think you lot were very brave to go weekly.
Well, they were right. I mean, it is a great idea. I think it should be 5 minutes instead of 10. All right, 7.
If they can keep to 10 is good.
They've been doing a great job. Thanks for bringing it up, Mal. Yeah, we're very pleased with ourselves to have done our 50th show. We've come a long way, baby. Yes, it's very different now from the early days, that's for sure. Well, of course, the new format is different anyway, but yeah, come along great.
If we're going to talk about forthcoming TV shows, I just wanted to say that Designing Worlds tomorrow, we're off to the Linden Endowment for the Arts. Oh, there's enough of that. Any particular sim or just generally to the whole complex? Our reason for going over there was to talk about the new volunteer program that they've got. And Honor Macmillan, and showing people around and interacting and helping the people enjoy the Sims and appreciate how the Sims work and so forth. So we take a look at the general Sims, and we talk to Honor and a few other people, and then we go and explore some of the new art that's out there. And there are some wonderful Sims out there at the moment. I don't know if any of you have explored them, but we take a look at the one that's based on Hieronymus Bosch's The Garden of Earthly Delights.
Oh, yes.
And then we take a look at a completely mad and completely wonderful one where you can ride around on floor polishers, which is inspired by the 1950s film The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Yep.
Awesome.
And then we go to the Lost Garden one, which is stunningly beautiful and uses cello music that the artist sampled himself. It's
awesome.
Lovely.
I'm going to have to go.
And
watch.
Absolutely. I'm just loading into the background here. Some of the destination type blogs that I keep, they're all very slow. I'm not sure whether this is LEA or not, but some of you might know something about this. Inara Pei reported on poetry and the understanding of LSL. Have either of you read this blog?
No, I haven't heard that.
Tara reads this.
I haven't read that one yet.
Right, I'm trying to make sort of head or tail of it, but it seems to be something about the idea of converting LSL scripting into poetry and constructing scripts as poetry.
That sounds like Facebook buying Second Life. It's just not working for me. But I'll bet it's interesting. I'm sure it's fascinating. I'm sure it is.
I'm thinking this might be an interesting way to start teaching code. I'm not sure.
Yeah, a little rhythm.
I seem to recall I have seen some things that have used code as poetry.
Cool.
And
people come up with some strange ideas, don't they?
I'll have to read the article.
Yeah, I mean, this is courtesy of an Ira's blog, but modemworld.wordpress.com. But she's quoted, to achieve this end, we're announcing the LSL Portal Poetry Project. The goal of the project is for... Oh, God, where's my glasses gone? Oh, I see. Right. The goal of the project is to provide poetry for every LSL event, function, and constant. More specifically, the form of poetry we have chosen is haiku.
Haiku.
Haiku. Screen real estate being at a premium, haiku requires the minimum amount of space while packing the greatest metaphorical punch. I think we'll have to get somebody along to actually explain all this to us. Actually, there are some sort of sample rhymes like spinning, all in a blur, a small moment of inertia. They say talk is cheap. A talk as in TORQUE. Very old stuff. But okay, we'll leave that one be until we know more about it. But it was intriguing. There's also something, if I can get it open in time, that's been going on called the Japan Fair in Second Life. Where are we? It's a celebration of Japanese creativity in Second Life, and it's a charity event. But I am reading this at presspassmedia.blogspot.com, and it has a further link in it. But I was actually reading a post this morning which prompted me to mention this because I forget how many days it's been going, maybe a couple or something. And they've already raised in US dollars, over $1,500 for, I'm not even sure what the charity is, but it's clearly been a very successful event and continues. So I thought I'd get that one in. So anybody, and let's go round you as I often do and see, particularly while you're still with the saffia, any events that have inspired you in the last week or events coming up, other than the obvious ones we discussed?
Well, I'm inspired by New Gallifrey at the moment. It's a very interesting example of a place that had largely ceased role playing and wasn't doing very much at all. The Doctor Who community was very much sort of in decline, and it's been a very good object lesson in how you can pick up a group of role-playing sims and role players with a nice strong storyline and give it an original thrust. It's been interesting to be a part of that. And it's also been good preparation for a project that I'm involved in that's coming up in May, which is connected with Fantasy Fair. Now, this year, I've been working with Elizabeth Tinsley, who is running the fair this year, and we decided, the fair is a very successful event, and we wanted ways in which we could make it more involving for people. And one of the things we've come up with, and there's going to be several little wrinkles that I think people will enjoy, one of the ways that we've come up with is actually having groups of role players with storylines at the fair that people can find out about and participate in. So there'll be information on the blog, and Fantasy Fair Radio will talk about them and give out notices and things to look out for. We've got 3 groups of role players who will all have storylines that will run during the fair, and that people coming to the fair can get involved in. They can attend some of the events, they can watch things going on, they can assist in chases, and probably stand well clear of fights and that sort of thing. But the whole idea is the fair is always such a place for stories, and what we thought was this year we'd inject some in so that people don't just have to shop, they can actually come and get involved in a story.
That's great. Brilliant. That's fun.
I must say Fantasy Fair is one of my favourites of the life events. I suppose it just appeals to me that the sort of fantasy settings, there's all this nice architecture and landscaping and the kind of thing that appeals to me. Very easy to get lost in, as another world kind of place. Great stuff.
Yeah, so that's what I'm up to. Anyway, I'm getting involved. That's going to come to fruition on the 1st of May, of course.
Right. I have a blog open here, which is actually, I think I've had posts from it before, but I don't think it comes up very often. It's called Slice. The blog's called Slice of Life SL, or one word, .wordpress.com, and this is one for the Brits amongst us. Hello, saffia. It's just got some photographs of what looks like a very nice build, Britannia Village and Sea. It's on a sim called Evidence, and it's based a recent addition to the village is the Bryson Wheel, a rideable Ferris wheel. And here's one for you, Saffia. Doctor Who fans might also see a sight or two they recognise. But this is real old England. So, well, not old England stuff, but classic England stuff. Britannia Promenade, and there's a lot of water around. Obviously, at Brighton Beach there would be, and the photos I'm seeing on this blog look absolutely wonderful. So it's the sim name is Evidence, as in the stuff that policemen collect, investigators collect. EVIDENCE. Coordinates 90. This guy has gone away. The coordinates are 99, 164, 22.
Just punch in 911.
Exactly. You don't really. Another one I've got open here is from Sicky Questy's blog, sickyquesty.blogspot.com. You Wear That Face. This apparently is an installation by Blue Tusky and entitled You Wear That Face, and it's at the Assis Art Gallery. If you like particles and strange structures. Sorry, actually, yes.
Sorry, I finished what you were saying about that, but I've got something to say about Ziki.
Oh, right. No, that was it, basically. Again, I've just called out the blog and I'm looking at these sort of nice particles and strange shapes and things like that, and it looks rather interesting. So,
there's been quite an interesting discussion going on this week on the blogs about archiving. And it was provoked by an article on Zeke's blog about an art sim called Petrovsky Flux.
Oh, yes. No, actually, that's a good point. We have a film of that coming up later because it is in danger of closing, isn't it? They're trying to raise funds.
Yes.
But I dug up a film that somebody posted as a tribute. Nice sim. But carry on, yeah.
So anyway, that provoked a discussion. Now, the reason Petrovsky Flux may be closing is basically that the University of Kansas behind it are not sure whether they want to keep it going anymore. It's quite a complicated issue. Inara has a very good post on all the ins and outs of why it's having problems. But a couple of people responding without realizing why it was closing to Zeke's original post raised the point that they felt that Linden Lab should keep sims like this alive. And I then wrote a blog post called It's Not Linden Lab's responsibility to preserve the sims that we love, it's ours.
I read that, yes.
That's there's been quite a few posts and interesting discussion. Joe Yardley came and put some very good points forward in comments to my post, and it's started what I hoped it would, which is a very interesting discussion about the problems with archiving material. That, you know, there's various levels of problems, like, you know, who chooses what gets archived, who pays for what gets archived, and what about archiving stuff when it could rapidly date and become useless. You know, there are a lot of builds that are broken.
There are also technical hurdles too, aren't there, in terms of exporting AOR files and things. I mean, as you know, I've often said, although I don't do building and art as such, I should try sometime if I find the time, but, you know, the ideal way to build these things is on a private open sim or something offline and then put them up in somewhere like Second Life. And that way, you know, if it comes down, you've got a backup. And to me, that means it is archived, whether it's on display anywhere, whether you re-res it on an open sim or whether you just keep it offline until an opportunity comes to re-res it. I think it's a different matter, but, you know, that is ultimately the way of archiving. You know, people archive entire websites when they replace them, and they don't necessarily stay online unless the Internet Archive has copied them. So it is difficult, you know, but with it all takes up land. And like you said, it's not Linden's responsibility. I mean, if they did something, for example, like archive, themselves, you know, special things that they particularly like, or maybe things like the contributions to Linden Endowment to the Arts, they'd be, you know, those archives would start taking space offline, even offline, quite considerably after a while. You know, it'd be nice if they chose to do it, but no, they're never going to keep a backup. You can't keep up a backup of the entire Second Life and all its content. But I certainly think, you know, there are a lot of sims that I've been to online that are no longer around, and I really miss the fact that they're not there. Or that they possibly haven't been kept, you know. So I think it would be, you know, we're going to get into the whole content debate again if we're not careful. But it would be nice if it was easier for people, you know, who've constructed a whole sim, for example, by themselves with their own content to literally download an AOR file so that they can keep it, you know, offline in the case they want to bring it back someday. But I think it is in the hands of the person that built it. It can't really be in anybody else's hands.
Right, I agree. I agree. It's up to, or people might decide that they want to help archive something, but they have to be prepared for the fact that it might date. It may not happen.
That's true. I mean, imagine somebody's kept an archive of, I don't know, an art bill from when I first came into Second Life, which is about 2006, 7 or something. There's some great stuff around at the time, but I'm sure if I walked into it again now, it would pale by comparison with what's achievable now. But, it would be nice. I'm sure it'd be nice for the creator, if nothing else, to actually have an archive somewhere offline that they can look back. It's like an artist looking back on their portfolio of old work. They probably...
I gotta make a comment, Mel, and that is, we can look back on something that was built in 2005 as, quote, dated, unquote. But, that if you're speaking from an artistic perspective, that's like saying what Michelangelo painted or built or carved 300 years ago is dated.
If there's intrinsic beauty, there's intrinsic beauty.
Yeah, there's intrinsic beauty and value.
If it's there, then it's there.
Not every prim that's ever been rezzed,
that's essentially. I agree with that. That's sort of what I mean. I mean, I know, I know one artist. I know artists in real life, and I know one particularly who will look at his old paintings that he maybe spent quite a lot of time on, and he'll just get in a mood and burn them all because they'll be old paintings and he thinks he doesn't like them anymore. And I said, don't burn them, give them to me, Right. On the other hand, I know artists who will keep every minute little sketch and tiny little piece of work they worked on.
There's no accounting for how they behave. Artists are like people.
Yeah. What we're talking about is the option for somebody to archive if they want to.
If the Rose Theater, for instance, was in danger, how could you let the Rose Theater disappear? Oh well.
I think too that we were talking about the role of videography in machinima and photography. So I think that's a very important part of archiving. What we see around us when we're in virtual worlds and what we appreciate, and to be able to pull up some video of the Petrovsky flux is pretty interesting to be able to share that.
And it will be people like Saffia in 10 years from now who will have that footage.
I'm terrible. I keep unlimited amounts of footage from all over the place.
Oh, great! That's excellent.
I'm probably never going to.
Give it to Saffia.
We'll go digging through your archives at some time in the future, and people go, wow!
I think we should call those who make such collections pixel pack rats.
Yeah, okay. But no, the idea is, if I might, I suppose I think in the back of my mind, I might want to do a program on something and just dig up archive footage because it's not there anymore. Like we had Bevan mentioned in our chat room earlier, finding the footage from Grumpy Old Avatars, for example. That's 2 or 3 years ago or more now. But I think I've got it somewhere, if it's not on the disc that broke. It is nice to actually go back to that, and somebody has a record of it. But there was, interestingly, based on what Lorraine said just now, there was actually, I forget what their actual name was, I think they were called the Sim Archival Project or something.
What was that?
Well, no. The point is, they did not physically archive sims and simulations. It was a video company.
Yes.
Who were simply going out, filming destinations and doing a good job of what they consider was a video archive of builds and then saving them.
Are they still around?
I don't know whether the company is still around. The footage is, or was.
Is this the one that Mark Twain White was doing? He was actually offering a service that he would video people's sims so they would have a record of them.
That's a great idea.
But I know Stanford University was working on a project about archiving three-dimensional virtual worlds, which was something slightly different.
Great.
Yeah, that was actually taking the. I think they were taking older stuff and actually trying to get the codes so they could actually archive it for posterity. A bit like old 8-bit games are now available on your iPad and stuff. Nobody downloads them anymore, but you can have fun going to them and playing them online, which of course you could never do in the original days. So, and I'm a great believer in, before I got involved in virtual worlds, the first stuff I did on the web was archiving cultural, counterculture is probably a better word, material. And, I just made a point of, asking the, the Internet Archives people to keep a copy. And they do an awful lot and they don't get everything done, but if you request it, they usually put, I don't know what they do, put the link in their database and sort of keep a backup copy. If anything that it might be of long-term interest. So there's different ways you can do that. It's changed a lot because these days you don't know when we're subject to commerce, and you don't know when a server is going to go down or a hosting company is going to go down, but people like Internet Archive are obviously doing their best to have an in perpetuity kind of resource for 100 years from now people can look at what we were posting today. I like that. I like that idea, but history recorded and so much of it too. But we need a big cheap server in orbit somewhere.
We need a hard drive the size of my apartment.
Some kind of cloud that really is a cloud and just sort of stores data and particles in the air.
There's plenty of clouds. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, those guys, and even those don't hang around too long sometimes. But yes, certainly everything I've ever done, I've always made a point of trying to keep archives of shows or location visits, anything.
Do you want a copy of the clip where you're the kitty cat in the Black and Mirror? I bet I could dig that out for you.
Well, the thing we haven't mentioned, of course, is the next. We've had a cliffhanger, so there's got to be another season.
You think?
Will that pussycat return in Series 3? Well,
it's the question on everyone's lips, Mel.
Yeah, I know. There couldn't be a more important question about Series 3 of the Black and Mirror. Will that little pussycat return?
And David is not talking. You know how he is.
Saying a word.
Yes.
He did say to me, "Wait till you see." I will quote him on that. I can't tell you what he was talking about because it was a secret.
No spoilers.
No, never. He wasn't specific anyway. Well, actually he was, but it's going to be great.
It is. It's going to be amazing.
Now, I have one event here, which was posted yesterday by SLinquirer.com. And it sounds rather nice. Idle Rouge Productions presenting a show called Le Cirque de Nuit. I guess that's the night circus. And it's definitely on today. And let me see. It's not very clear whether it's going to be on further days. I suspect it will. They got performances at 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. So you would certainly make a 7 p.m. Tonight. And I think there's Q&A with the cast afterwards. What it is, by way of explanation, is it's a tightly produced set of 13 circus-based acts interleaved with interspatial art installations, which we use to distract you while we change sets. The effects are dazzling, and we attempt to lure you into a completely immersive environment. But it sounds good. So I'm just trying to see if I can find us. We're back to the normal thing. A great article and no sim location. I guess the way to find this will be to look up Idle Rouge Productions Inworld, or indeed the English translation, the Night Circus. Apparently, The Night Circus is a novel by Erin Morgenstern. who be he, and it's based on that. So if you're looking for sort of fun spectacular to go to, that might be your cup of tea. Okay. Pet, you got anything else that along the lines of events coming up or events you've seen in the last week that deserve a mention?
Well, we've talked about Happy Hunting. I brought up Black and Mirror. We've talked about VWBPE, which is not BPVWE. We've looked at the incredible dragon puppy down here at the end of the stage. And I guess I'll just say that I'm really looking forward to the convention this week, the VWBPE. That's really great. And Lorraine, I mean, honestly, you've been working so hard this whole time. I mean, it must be nice to see it coming to fruition.
It's really great to see it coming to fruition, and we have we have a cast of hundreds behind the scenes.
Yep.
Too, so
amazing.
Volunteers and speakers and mentors, and yeah, it's great work.
Yep.
Okay. Honor Macmillan has had a blog about installation by Mayor Paris called Source.
Yes, one of the things I'm going to do later today after the show is go and see that. I've promised a friend that we will go and see it.
Right, it's described as a satirical look at modern life, but there's a lovely quote here. I think I've lost it. Oh yeah, I think this is one of those lovely fake quotes from something called the Fish Slappers Gazette. And then review says it's like sucking real life through a straw.
I like it already.
Yeah, it has that look to it, I must say. Well, there are unfortunately thousands of blogs of posts in my lifestyle blog this week. If you can handle the fact that some of my posts in the last couple of days are duplicates, go to twitter.com/malburns_writer, and you'll find lots of links to art exhibitions, drool-worthy destinations, and stuff like that there, and you can find out a bit more about that. So, Lorraine, other than VWBP, it really is always a tongue twister after all these years. Apart from VWBPE, is there anything that has captured your fancy recently in Second Life, or anything else coming up that you can't wait to see, kind of thing?
Well, I really haven't had much chance to get my head up with all the preparations for the conference coming on. But certainly many of the things that you were talking about, I did want to catch the night circus if I can squeeze in a little bit of time. That looks very interesting. So I had that on my list of things to keep an eye out for.
It'd be nice if it was available for one of your tours that you'll be having.
Would be, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they could come and do something at the Quadrivium.
That would be nice, yeah.
Well, and I know that speaking of that, though, we do have some exciting things coming for the social events, and there might just be a little theater happening one of the nights. So you'll have to keep an eye on the website and then the announcements to see what's going to happen there.
Sounds great.
I remember years ago, Metaverse, as they were then. It was Nick Wilson's thing that later became morphed into Metanomics and stuff. In the early days, they did one of the first sort of big conferences about virtual worlds in a virtual world. And I forget most of it, but they were quite sticklers for formality and mimicking the real world thing of seating and organising, which isn't always necessary in Second Life. But then they actually ended the whole conference after the weekend or whatever it was with a performance. It was Tuna Oddfellow they chose, in fact, and they just teleported everybody into the sky and then subjected them to Tuna Oddfellow, which was
brilliant.
You can imagine a greater contrast between the formality of the event and Tina's thing at the end.
I think I recall that.
Yeah, it was just a great idea.
That's nice, yeah.
The big party finish to what is otherwise a kind of.
That's right. I forgot about that. That's neat. He's back in Second Life, That's
He is,
yeah. And I'm actually going to stream his shows when I can. Like he's having one this afternoon. I couldn't go, obviously, but whenever I can, I'm just going to be streaming his shows on Views by Pet. If anybody wants to watch,
I actually filmed a few of his myself back in the days when beds were set up for filming, and they, it's great because the environment's always moving, and if it's still the kind of ambient music soundtrack as it used to be, then it's just pure chill out music.
It's nice, yeah.
It's great. In fact, I got an eye on film just before the show came on, so it's probably the same thing. So come to this event, and there are lots of people back in World. Tuna's back.
He's not happy about it, but he decided he wasn't going to let the TOS controversy separate him from his friends and doing what he loves to do with his friends, basically. But there is still the TOS, and we haven't talked about that, but I think that's always going to be newsworthy, isn't it?
I remember when we went to the space of talking about it every week, and we finally just thought, well, we can't discuss terms of service every week. Oh
well, right, yeah, things move slowly.
It is sad actually that nothing much has changed, and for those of you,
nothing has changed.
They're still working on it, though, aren't they?
Did anybody listen to? Sorry.
I was going to say the last impression I had from the Inworld group that was actively organized in an organized fashion pursuing it with the lab was that the lab was looking at it again, and that was theoretically supposed to be coming to fruition about the time that we had the change in CEO. So, and given Ebe's stated positions, he was definitely, that came up in kind of the back and forth in the various,
that's
in
good.
His Twitter feed, and so I don't think it's a dead issue.
I hope not.
But what the resolution is, or if there's a change, it remains to be seen. I don't know. Maybe Saffia, you've heard something else, or
I haven't. I'm afraid.
I don't know if any of you listen to Dragster's new weekly podcast published on Fridays, but this was really the theme of the last Friday's, a couple of days ago, podcast. And Dragster did have a fairly extensive interview with a lawyer who knows Second Life and is in Second Life. And, it's the sort of stuff I would have said from my knowledge of copyright law anyway. There are, basically rule of thumb is that copyright belongs to the person that created it, and you have to, unless you're working for a company and it's work for hire, it is totally in your hands as to how you transfer it. And it's Linden Labs' terms of service is not an adequate reading of a legal status. In other words, there's nowhere in there that you say, I hereby sell for the sum of 0 lindens or $0 all rights in perpetuity to Linden Labs. They may think that they want to grab it all in perpetuity, but there is nothing in it that actually says you're selling it to them. And if it's not sold, they can't have it.
I thought the confusion arose because they have to have everything on their servers in order to run Second Life. And I thought that's why they were saying they owned everything at first.
Well,
but maybe I'm naive.
I think you're onto something there. I mean, I don't think Linden want to go back on the idea that they, once you stick something up on their servers, then they want to control it for the purposes around the platform, and maybe...
Yeah, I don't think that was their intent.
And maybe even acting as an agent to sell it on to, they own a distribution company, Desira, and, there is nowhere else they can sell it on at the moment, apart from Kitely, as far as I can see. So, there's, but it's the control thing. But what they don't specify is, it's okay saying we need this control, but they don't specify it in the right terms in terms of copyright law.
I see.
And As the lawyer in Drass's interview pointed out, and I think this is something I mentioned some time ago, the simplest analogy I can come up with, because we're talking software here essentially, is that if I use a copy of Photoshop to paint a masterpiece, it's my masterpiece. Adobe have no claim on it. Likewise, if you use Second Life or OpenSim to create a master build or whatever, or installation, then the software has no claim on it. They simply provide the tools for you to build it. Now, they might have claim on it for hosting the end result, but there again, you're paying rent for the sim or paying lindens for the land. So as a hosting company, it's like a website. What you put on your website is your website, your creation. They are, you also pay them on top of that for hosting it. Second Life
That's
is
cool.
software. Second Life is software. It is just like Photoshop or something. And can you imagine what would happen if Adobe tried to proclaim to the world that everything you ever created in Photoshop belongs to them?
Good point. Good point.
I know it's a cloud service now, but they would never dream of it. They are selling tools. The software are all software. Everything we have on our computers, they are tools that we use to enhance the real world. The virtual world is just one enhancement. But these are tools that we use. We are graced of living in an age where we have these wonderful new tools.
Well, where were you when this whole thing started?
This is all stuff we talked about back then too. So
we did actually. Yeah.
I think that the point here is there isn't any news on this issue.
Yeah.
At this point, so it's still I think a wait and see what the lab does, but
okay.
Or until there's a legal challenge.
Yeah.
Until somebody files suit.
And on that note,
Saffia is just telling me in back chat it's time for her to go. And actually, I think we're pretty much round up anyway. So the best side is, we've been on for 2 hours, so actually it's not that short a show after all. So I think we'll call it a wrap, actually. And we'll get on with Virtual World's best practices. But we will be back, of course, here next week. Was there any final thoughts from anybody before you go? I'll start with you, Saffia, because I can see you.
yes,
can see you going invisible.
No final thoughts, just to say goodbye and good luck to virtual practices.
Indeed. Okay, well, thank you for being here, Saffia, and I hope we see you again soon. Petlove, any final thoughts?
Same thing here, except that I'll be seeing you for the next 4 days, Lorraine, I hope, and break a leg. It's going to be great.
And Lorraine, any final thoughts before?
I've just sort of been thinking about this. There's a really big energy that is happening around virtual worlds and around Second Life in particular that I'm very excited to see happen. And I've been getting a lot of notes from people saying I haven't been to the conference, I have left Second Life, but I'm coming this year. So I think it's very exciting to see there's something going on, and I suspect that interview the presentation with Ebby Altberg is going to be pretty exciting. So I think we need to hang on to our hats for that one.
Indeed. Yeah, you probably need to allow an extra day for all these old timers to come back and get used to their new interface.
I know, they have to learn a whole new browser, right?
Yeah, I was teasing Cogdog Blog about that. Get in here, Cogdog.
I can't wait for next week's show because I presume Maria will be back with us, and
yes.
I can tell you that following last week's show, she's gone and got herself a nice new AO, and she wants to her skin. She doesn't want to. She wants to keep because it's a real life skin, but I think she's going to have a meta makeover, for want of a better word. Remember that? Oh, Sapphire's gone. Never mind. So she might be looking a little bit more impressive. Oh, is she?
I almost came on the show half myself and half the forced avatar because I was a cloud when I came on and I couldn't. So I had to force the the basic avatar. And I was just going to come on that way. It wasn't so bad. It was kind of cute, but it was real old looking.
Yes. I think it's just a thing people don't like to look out of place, do they?
Well, it was your show. I didn't do it out of courtesy to you. Otherwise, I would have.
I'm just hoping Philip Rosedale can remember where the talk button is and how to sit if he needs to.
The little things, yeah.
Tourists are coming in and saying, "Oh, I don't think I use this interface, have I?" There's something really nice about that. Okay, Tara, final thoughts and anything else?
Well, I'm definitely looking forward to what the Q&A session with Ebe is like. He's knowing the feelings around the education community over the issue of tier.
Some pointed questions, you think?
I expect some pointed questions. But
no, don't be nice. Don't be nice,
you, Lori, on the issue of some renewed energy, and my measure of that is the amount of activity I'm seeing in my little.
We lost you. Your pond.
Around the.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Tara.
More traffic. There's more traffic.
Good.
Sorry, Tara, you broke up on the stream. Which area is this? You
more traffic? Chilbo, Manjiang, and
Chilbo, right,
cool. Yeah, this little region here, Chilbo and the neighboring Sims, and just more. I'm just seeing more traffic.
Good.
Yeah.
So.
I wonder if any of them are wearing Oculuses.
The ones on their sides are, yeah.
Are new enough to have the last name of resident, so that tells you something.
Well, that's a couple of years worth now, right?
Yeah, I mean, I was I think coming up later. I can't swear to this. So certainly one I was reviewing was a musician. There's plenty of well-established musicians who are called blog resident. In Second Life now, I've long since forgotten, the stigma's sort of past because there's probably more residents than anybody else now. So, funny old world. But yes, who knows? Obviously, a lot of people are trying out the Oculus, but that's not going to be a huge amount. So, we'll see. Okay, well, I think it's time to wrap. Do join us. Virtual World's Best Practices will be on this very channel you're watching now, although, of course, if you're watching in replay, you might be watching it anywhere. So it's livestream.com, Metaworld 2, but your best bet... Oh, Lorraine, well, I've got you. There will be an embed code, live embed code of the channel at... it's VWP.org, isn't it, Lorraine?
VWBPE.org.
Oh, yeah, I've done it again, haven't I?
Yes, that's our website, VWBPE.org.
Yeah, it was actually the .org I was struggling with. But I ended up goofing the other one, didn't I? Torres and Bevan have both put it in chat, so it's fine. So that is probably the best place for you to go because you better read up all about the conference, and there'll be a page there with the embed of all the broadcasts on it. So I'm Petlove, and to a certain extent Lorraine will be back with you on Wednesday, from about mid-morning as we bring the opening and Philip Rosedale's keynote, and then it's the long ride.
I have to go shopping. I have to go stock up.
Yeah.
I might even get a little refrigerator for this week. No, only kidding.
Actually, that is the thing that always gets me. So the day before, I'm not panicking. I'm not panicking about the arrangements or anything else. I'm just panicking about getting out the RL house to get some organic food stuffs in.
Will I have enough food for 4 days?
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, it's a really nice schedule. I mean, it's a hard, giant schedule if you have to be there the whole 4 days solid. But you don't, you'll have time to go to the store, just barely, but you'll have time.
Just skip down quick.
Yeah.
Indeed, yeah. And even we will get breaks, so wonderful. Okay, so do join us on Wednesday if you can, because this is the kind of conference that really exemplifies the sort of serious side of virtual worlds, and it promises to be a good one. And if for some reason you do miss it, we will have replays on YouTube and all over the place. That's actually our principal job, is to get it archived for the organisers. And or failing that, we will be back here, of course, same time, same place, next week. So we will see you then. You've been watching the Inworld Review, by the way, coming to you live from Chilbo in Second Life, and brought to you in cooperation with AView TV. And as we say in the business, it's a wrap. And as we say in the business, it's a wrap.